All right, we are live once again. How y'all doing out there? I am Frank Red, and this is another edition of the In the Dungeon Show. I want to thank you off the top for joining me in conversation, and I apologize for being a little late. But with that said, I am excited once again to talk to you for at least an hour, maybe a little longer than that. It was a big sports weekend. A lot of topics that need to be talked about. First and foremost, the San Francisco 49ers got an opportunity to look at their number one quarterback, Brock Purdy, after signing a big contract. There's always a level of trepidation, I think, by organizations when they commit to a star player. How's that player going to respond? Based on everything that we had heard, based on what we have seen in practice, I don't think there was a lot of trepidation about Brock Purdy. He came out against the Raiders and played extremely well in his limited stance. The Raiders also looked remarkably better under the leadership of Pete Carroll. Smith, I thought their brand new quarterback looked pretty good as well. Aston Genty, their running back, I really like him. I think he's going to be a star in the NFL. But it was good to see the 49ers answer some of the questions that many of their friends have. And we'll get into that. Off the top, please hit the like button. It helps the show. We're trying to march on and get to the point where we have a wider audience. My name is Frank Red. This is the In the Dungeon Show. Hit the like button. Follow me on X, on Twitter, at Big Frank Red. But, I hear a lot of people talk about this. When I'm doing other shows, the same narrative exists. A lot of times people watch shows, but they won't join for whatever reason. I don't think I necessarily have that challenge here. Most of the people who listen to our show are very consistent listeners and viewers. So I'm not really talking to many people here. But if you're watching the show for the first time, hit the like button, because there's a lot of preparation, there's a lot of work that goes into bringing this show to you, and hopefully, just being a diversion from what you normally do, because we all got lives, we all have things that we have to do, and to take time to talk about sports and entertainment and some of the intersections that's happening in society also, I think, adds to our lives. It certainly does for me. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for contributing. And if you have not hit the like button, if you have not joined the show yet, then please do. The 49ers, I think, have one of the best quarterback rooms that they've had in a while. Brock Purdy is your guy, but I think Mac Jones, the much maligned quarterback, who played at New England as a rookie, second-year player, lastly played in Jacksonville. I think he's going to start for another NFL team. Maybe not like a long-term answer, but I think Mac Jones, from Alabama fame, is going to be in the NFL for a long time. And I know he gives Shanahan a lot of confidence should something happen to a Brock Purdy. So if that's your team and you feel good about that part of the 49ers package, then let me know about it. There's a lot of question marks on defense. They let two great players go, and Greenwald and Hufunga, but they got some rookies that they're excited about. And, they showed some improvement. I think Nick Martin, the rookie out of Oklahoma State, who didn't play well his first game, actually came back and made some plays. There were many others that we will get into. Still a little concerned about the Jawan Jennings issue. He has a hamstring, has a leg injury, but he also wants more money, and no one's talking about it. I'm sure the 49ers and other teams that are dealing with stuff like that are like, why the hell did they have to come out with the NFL valuations this week? Because the cheapest franchise in NFL, the least expensive, let me say that, is the Cincinnati Bengals, and they're worth $5.5 billion. The 49ers are actually worth $9 billion. I think they can afford to give Jawan Jennings some more money. I don't think they should go crazy. He's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. But if he's your number one guy and he's making $7.5 million, I think he deserves more money. And this is a team that I think needs all of their ducks in a row. Matthew Stafford, there's a lot of trepidation around his back and his availability. The kid Bennett out of Georgia has actually had a pretty good preseason, but I don't think he's the answer. This is going to be a competitive division. Not necessarily the best, but the West is going to be competitive. Arizona can beat you. They're talented. The 49ers are formidable, but you have the Rams and you have Seattle. And, Seattle looked pretty good this weekend. So it's going to be interesting to see how things turn out. The 49ers had a tough blow. Running back Corey Kiner, a rookie who looked really good in the preseason, and then camp, he went down with a high ankle strain. That's problematic because I think the 49ers certainly don't want Christian McCaffrey to get 80, 90% of the snaps like he has in previous years. So as a result, the 49ers signed Jeff Wilson Jr., a player who has been on the team in the past, most recently played for Miami. And I heard he's not doing great in practice, but I saw him in the game this weekend, and I think he's going to be okay. Because the 49ers are never going to be a run-centric team. Even with the great Christian McCaffrey, they're still probably at their best to be 60-40, 60 pass, 40 running. But they're a different team without Christian McCaffrey on the field. So got to be watchful of that. Robbie Chosen, a guy's been in the league 10 years. I wasn't that familiar with him, to be quite honest with you, but he had 5 catches, 92 yards. And, he's playing against 2s and 3s, so I'm not acting like he's playing against Ramsey or somebody like that. But the 49ers need bodies, particularly at wide receiver. Ricky Pearsall has been a bright spot. He and Purdy appear to have pretty good chemistry, so that's a good sign. I think the offense is going to be good enough. I think if the 49ers exceed expectations this year, it's going to be because their defense is playing extremely well. And there's a reason why they brought Robert Saleh back. Robert Saleh looks like he did before he went to New York to be the head coach of the Jets. He's very creative defensively. He knows that he's going to have to create pressure sometimes when his front four is not getting home. He has some really creative blitzes with linebackers, safeties, corners. So I'm looking forward to Saleh bringing that edge to the 49ers defense that we didn't see last year. And the fact that we're not talking about coaching this year, I think is a benefit to them. So there's a lot of 49er fans out there. If you want to talk, I know you might be at nauseum at this point talking about your team. I doubt it. We can talk about it. So far, Chase Lucas, a guy who's basically a journeyman football player in the NFL, is kind of bounced around a little bit, was on the outside looking in to make the team. He's played so well this preseason. I personally think he has to play himself off the team at this point. And he was just a guy, and he probably is still just a guy. But give him credit. I mean, I think if you're a coach and you have a criteria for making the team, when players reach that criteria and they go out and they make plays, then you got to give them credit. So I'm interested in seeing him. Carter Bradley, Gus Bradley's son, the guy fighting for a third-string quarterback job, came back this week and actually played well also. But I'm a 49er supporter. I'm not a diehard 49er fan. So I can talk to you about the NFL in general, or if they are your team, we can talk also. I want to see them win. I definitely want to see them win. But I'm not a fan to the extent that I will be delusional about what I see. I think that they are a team that's going to win 10 or 11 games this year. Beyond 11 wins, I think they've exceeded expectations. I would be disappointed if they didn't win at least 10 games, particularly in this division with a soft schedule this year. I think they have an opportunity to do it. All right. That is my recap on the 49ers. And just Raider fans out there. I mean, I don't say where the Raiders are. I just call them the Raiders. But I find myself kind of being emotionally still attached to the team and to the players. I'm a big Pete Carroll fan, so I like Pete Carroll. I think the Raiders are going to be better. They're going to be more professional. If you're a Raider fan out there, you want to talk about the team, that's all good also. Geno looked pretty good, Geno Smith. So the Raiders and the 49ers are probably in the same neighborhood, somewhere between 9 and 11 wins. Some of you might say, Red, there's no way in hell he's either winning 9 or 11 games. I would disagree with you. I disagree. The big story in the NFL to me, and for people who generally listen to me, was after Shedeur Sanders came out and seized the opportunity and started Cleveland's first preseason game. There was a lot of whispers out there that was saying, well, they're setting them up. I never believed that. You know, I mean, what do you want the coach to do? You know, put you on the field when you're playing a bunch of nuns, you know? No, I mean, every opportunity you should take advantage of. And I'm sure that, I'm happy that Shedeur didn't buy into that. He went out against the Panthers and he balled out like he was supposed to. And he put some pressure on Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel, the former Oregon quarterback, was drafted in the 3rd round by Cleveland. Didn't play horribly. He actually throws a beautiful football. He does. And he knows the offense. Dillon Gabriel is a good quarterback. But there was some energy between Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel going back to college when Colorado played Oregon. And Oregon was clearly better. And Dillon Gabriel was literally standing behind the Great Wall of China, having his pick of who he could throw the ball, while Shedeur at Colorado was being harassed on every play, and they got their butts kicked. The sides, the variables are a little similar now, more even, and Shedeur played better. Tomorrow, if Kevin Stefanski comes out and says that Shedeur Sanders is not at least number 3 in the depth chart, then we need to call the FBI. There needs to be an investigation. Because, again, if you're going to go simply off how people are playing, Shedeur's played better. Could they still trade Shedeur? Absolutely. And I actually wouldn't have a problem with it. I really wouldn't. You know, I would like Shedeur to be traded to the Rams if he's going to be traded. Go to an organization where you know you're going to be in the environment that can develop quarterbacks. And I think McVay is excellent. He's an excellent coach. If he stays with Cleveland, so be it. I think Kenny Pickett is probably going to start off and be the number 2 quarterback because he's guaranteed $2 million. And for all who thinks that money is not an issue, you're crazy. Money is always an issue. So, you know, and I mean, the fact that it came out and they said that Shedeur had oblique tightness. I mean, that was awesome. That was some BS. You guys know that, right? You don't believe that, right? That's crazy talk. They wanted to give Dillon Gabriel the same landscape that Shedeur had. And Shedeur played better. So I'm interested in seeing what happens next week. Now, Dylan Gabriel got caught in his feelings, and he goes, those people are just entertainers. What he said, I'm a competitor. And then he said, well, that wasn't about Shedeur. Yeah, right. Please, stop it. I'm okay with it. Be competitive. And Shedeur on the sideline was not going up to Dylan Gabriel, talking to him either. He wasn't jumping up and down when he threw the pick six either. They're teammates competing for a job. I love it. Once you're on the team, then that brotherhood is cemented to a certain degree, although you can get cut at any time. But when you're competing against somebody, it's the best person who wins the job. And Kevin Stefanski is trying to brush it off like there's no heat there. But check the internet. Check the people who are at practice and give you some real commentary on what's happening. And it's a battle. I think Joe Flacco should start for the Browns. I don't have a problem with Kenny Pickett being number 2. But right now, I think Shedeur should be the number 3 quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. If you have any thoughts about that, feel free to chime in. We come on there every week and we kind of touch on the Golden State Warriors and the Jonathan Kuminga issue because there's nothing happening. At this point, I think that we have to be resigned to the fact that at some point, Jonathan is probably going to sign the 5th-year tender. Restricted contract is $8 million. Nobody's going to walk with $8 million. But if he doesn't get his price, his freedom to me means more than 2 years at $45 million, second year not guaranteed. No, he's not signing that. He's not. So I think both sides have some culpability, but I think the Warriors, if they look back at this, will say that, you know what, we probably misplayed this, because you save money, you don't pay a player that you don't want to pay, but when you look at Wiseman being drafted number 2, with Kuminga being drafted number 7, when will the Golden State Warriors in the near future have a time to restock the cupboard with draft picks like that? It's not going to happen. Steve Kerr this week had a couple of telling quotes. I heard a quote yesterday. He was actually talking to Shane Battier on Shane Battier's podcast. And he said, I'm an old school coach. I really don't do, well, I don't know if he said that, but he intimated that he lets his younger coaches coach younger players because he really doesn't really relate to them. When he played in college, he played 3-4 years, and when they came into the pros, these guys were ready to play. And that's not reality anymore. That's not reality. Steve Kerr's had the luxury of coaching some of the best players of the past couple of decades. And I was thinking about this today, right? As I was preparing for the show. And I said this to myself. Steve Kerr played for a Hall of Fame college coach in Lute Olson, for Popovich, Hall of Fame, right? Lenny Wilkins, Hall of Fame. Phil Jackson, NBA champion, Hall of Famer. Draymond Green played for Tom Izzo, Hall of Fame. Stephen Curry played for Bob McKillop, Hall of Fame. A guy who I know very well, phenomenal coach. Jimmy Butler played for Buzz Peterson and Eric Spoelstra, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm just saying that you can't really have the same level of expectations for these young players who come into the NBA who have not been developed. You got to be a developer, or you find yourself in this situation. So, I'm not picking any sides. I just don't like it. The only thing about the Kuminga thing I don't like is the organizations, professional organizations, always have an opportunity to send messages out through the media. I don't like that. Players can't do that. You don't have access to the media. That story that came out and said that Jonathan Kuminga had turned down $150 million made him look stupid. All you gotta do is sign your name, you get $150 million. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. You know? The only thing Kuminga has are his workout tapes, and fortunately, Draymond Green has said a lot of positive things about him. You know, in terms of what he thinks his prospects are. He thinks he's going to be a star, if not with the Warriors, with somebody else. So, you know, I mean, he also intimated that maybe, you know, Kuminga should sign for less money. You know, I've heard some of that as well. He did that. I don't necessarily agree with that with regard to Kuminga. I looked at all 4 of the restricted free agents, and all of them are in a pickle. None of them, I think, at this stage are going to get the money that they want. So they got to go back. Josh Giddey has to go back to Chicago, presumably, have another good year, and then position himself to sign somewhere else as a free agent. Jonathan Kuminga. Cam Thomas, to me, if I was talking to Cam Thomas, and if it's true that Brooklyn is offering him like 2 for 28 or something, I would say, dude, you need to take every dime you get, because the offers, regardless of how well Cam Thomas plays, the offers are never going to be that good for him. He's a one-dimensional player, or he's only shown that he can do one thing. Quentin Grimes is not an NBA starter. Quentin Grimes is barely 6'4". He plays the 2. He's a 3rd or 4th guard. That's what he is. Now, can he sign the mid-level exception in the offseason? Get him like a 5-year, $65 million deal? Yeah, he can do that. But his numbers are never going to be much higher than that. Let's go talk to Keys. What's up, Frank? Moody needed a game like that. Let me read it. What's up, Frank? Moody needed a game like that. Hopefully, it gives him the confidence he needs. Yes, he did. But you know what, though? It's interesting, man. I was on Larry Kruger's show Saturday after the game, the post-game show. And it was like 2,500 people watching that show. 500 likes. It was packed. And the vibe is '49er fans still don't have a lot of confidence in Jake Moody. And I understand why. I mean, is he a talented kicker? Yes, he is. Will he eventually become a solid NFL kicker and maybe be in the league for 10 years or longer? I wouldn't bet against him. But kickers are so mental, you know, to the extent that their confidence comes and goes. And it becomes so much less about their ability as opposed to them getting in their own heads, having people believe in them, so on and so forth. So the fact that we're talking about the 49ers kicker is not a good deal. He made 4 or 5, but that 26-yarder, a 29-yarder, whatever it was, he damn near missed that. He almost smoked that. You know, he needs to get on a run where he makes like 20 kicks in a row. Make 10 in a row, 15, and then 20 in a row. You know, why? Because if you look at the proliferation of professional football, there's a couple of areas where the game has really evolved. Quarterback and the kickers. The kickers of the 80s and the 70s, they couldn't do half the things that these kickers could do. Remember we looked at Garrow, I can't think of the Washington Redskins kicker. I guess kicked a 63-yarder at some point. I mean, that was historic. These guys kick 63-yard field goals in practice like it's nothing. So the game has changed. Moody made a 59-yarder that was fantastic. Remember how fans used to complain about preseason games all the time? I watched that game from start to finish. That was a hell of a football game. I mean, that was an entertaining football game. And I think both teams probably went away thinking, you know what, we might have something. Even though we're playing backups, you still need depth. That was a good football game. It really was. TG was in the audience on Saturday. Big Frank, my guy. What's up, brother? How you doing? What do you think about Moody? I mean, it's like guy make 4 or 5 field goals, and you know the vibe is like, you know, I don't know that she got rid of the guy. So I think it was a financial thing. I think had they got rid of him, it would have hurt them to a certain degree in their cap situation, and they didn't want to do that. They also think he's a talented kicker. They're watching him every day in practice. So, you know, just one of those things. I mean, I brought up the name Sebastian Janikowski, the former Raider kicker, who Mr. Davis drafted in the first round. I believe with the 27th pick, if I remember correctly. And his first 2 years, after having a stellar career at Florida State, he was abysmal his first 2 years. And then all of a sudden, he turned into a cannon and he got it together. So, you know, I don't want to spend my whole time talking about kickers. Moody is still suspect in a lot of eyes. But they're going to roll with him, I think. It kind of hit me a little bit today when I was thinking about the show and I was preparing. And my guy, who I really like, Bryce Young. Now, I didn't see the game, so I'm not going to come up here and say that I did. I read the reports, and apparently he had a tough go this week as the Panthers quarterback. But so did his backup. But there's a rule of thumb that thinks, I mean, there's a narrative out there that thinks that he's just too small. And I want to think that he's not too small. But I don't know. Is he playing with a horrible team that is not fundamentally sound? Or are some of the things that he has to deal with as a small quarterback bigger than he can overcome? I don't know. But I have to have an objective mind about it. When I look at Carson Bennett slinging that thing all over the field as a Rams quarterback and at Georgia, more times than not, he has a clean pocket. When Bryce Young has a clean pocket, he plays well. But that pocket in Carolina gets small right away. And he played pretty well his second year, the second half, he got back in there. His rookie year was not good. But, I mean, you all watch football like I do. What do you think? You think that he's not a bust? I'm not calling him a bust. But I do have some reservation with regards to what his future is. Because unlike a lot of players, Jalen Hurts is taller. He's certainly bigger and stronger. But the thing that differentiates the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons, the Jalen Hurts of the world is they not only run to escape, they run to get yardage. They are aggressive runners. Bryce Young is not, he isn't a runner. You know, he plays like somebody who's 6'5", 6'6", who's kind of a laboring type of quarterback. He's a small guy, but he is not a very aggressive runner. And maybe because he don't want to get hurt. I don't know. But I think defenses have kind of figured him out to the extent that they just rush hard. They don't think about him running past them. And that's offense. Brock Purdy is cagey enough to the point where he's not going to just flat out and run and put himself in harm's way. But Brock Purdy can sense when he's under duress, and he can escape and go out and get yardage. Bryce Young needs to do that, and again, I'm not playing quarterback, and I understand how dangerous it is, but it hurts his ability to be a good passer. I don't want to talk about it right now, but I will say that I watched the Valkaries today, and I love watching those ladies play because they're not that talented. They're talented, they're good, but they're not as talented as some of the teams that they play. Atlanta, it was so much more talented than the Valkaries today, and they got overwhelmed and they lost 79-63. They keep losing players. It's tough. And the thing about that to me that I don't like, the reality of the business of women's basketball. Most of these players are on one-year contracts. You look at the Valkaries, I guarantee you 5 or 6 of these players will be on the team next year. The rest of them won't even be on the team. In spite of bringing in a haul of money this year for the organization and for Joe Lacob, most of these young ladies will not even be on the team next year. They won't. So this is really important for them to negotiate hard and get a fair deal because they're generating a lot of revenue. In spite of what people tell you, right now, as the league is constituted, they're making money and they should be paid for it. I don't think that Caitlin Clark not playing is by mistake either. And I'm happy that she's not playing because I think that she needs, for the first time today, they talked about her physical and mental health. They had not said that before. In the past, they were just saying that she's recovering from a hamstring injury. But today, they added that mental health component to it. And I'm happy about that, because I'm not going to lambaste the Fever fans. I'm going to look at the league as a whole. She should not have a red dot on her for people who hate her and people who love her. She's just a player. She's a young player trying to have a career. She shouldn't walk around feeling like she has the weight on her has the weight of the world on her shoulders. And one of the good things is we're watching women's basketball, and what we know is true is happening. It's a good league. It isn't about one player. It really isn't. She's the face of the league when she's playing, and she takes the league to a whole nother level. But the stability of the WNBA is going to be built by all of the teams that are playing right now. And they're showing that. I give the ladies a lot of props about that. So good for them. I also saw, and I will talk about this a little later, but I saw, and I'll give a review about it. I saw Highest to the Lowest, Spike Lee's joint, starring Denzel Washington, A$AP Rocky, Jeffrey Wright, and the young lady who played the wife in The Godfather of Harlem. I'll look at her name. I don't want to kill her name. That's why I didn't mention her right now. But the cast is great. Spike Lee. One of the things I was thinking about this. One of the things about directing, you don't lose your touch. I mean, Spike Lee's getting older, right? Spike Lee is literally in his filmmaking prime right now. And as long as his health keeps up, I don't know why he can't do this for another decade. what a brilliant filmmaker and storyteller. So I'll get into it. I'll give you a review, but the movie's going to be on Apple TV in a couple of weeks. So you might say, you know what, I'll chill, or I'm not interested in Spike Lee's and Denzel's movies. But if you want to see it in the theater, and I suggest you do, you might want to look around and see where it's playing, because it's not going to be there that long. The great Vicky, how you doing, Vicky? Vicky says, the Valkaries have only been together for 3 months. I'm so impressed by the way they have come together as a team. I totally agree. And, Vicky, I am so impressed with Coach Nakase. What a great coach. I mean, forget about the players. When you break down the tape and you look at their defensive alignment, it's flawless. I mean, she looks like she was an assistant on an NBA team. And she has a big advantage. All of the schemes, the defensive schemes that they use in the NBA, she's brought to the WNBA. And she's smart for doing that, because that's how they stay in games. They're such a great defensive team. It's unbelievable. So I'm with you. I really enjoy them. I love the Valkaries fans. And apparently this young lady, the first round pick this year, who's not playing for them, apparently she's a real deal. I guess she was at the game today, Justine or something like that. So she's going to be a player. We saw some highlights of her, and they're doing everything right. I just hope that these young ladies land on their feet. They got a new expansion team coming in Portland. It wouldn't surprise me if some of the Valkaries players move on, because you can't protect everybody. But this has been a phenomenal year. I've never seen a rollout. This rollout of the Valkaries, and I'm going to lose some people when I say this, is very similar to the rollout of the Clips album. Right? You're like, well, who the hell are the Clips, Red? Well, the Clips are a rap group that was discovered by Pharrell out of Virginia. And Pusha T has been down with Kanye for a long time. He's made solo records. He now, I guess, no longer has a relationship there. But Pharrell brought them out with their first album 20-some odd years ago. And they had a big hit called Grinding. They got an album out called Let God Sort Them Out, which is really, really good. But equally impressive has been the rollout of how their music has actually gotten to the public. It's not by mistake that it happened. Rock Nation, Jay-Z is distributing the record. So that was a big plus for them. But I give them a lot of credit for representing themselves well when they had an opportunity to speak to people about their music. Kendrick Lamar is on a song. That certainly didn't hurt. So, I look at the Valkaries and I say, could you do a more flawless job of promoting a brand new team? Could you pick players so profoundly well that fit your organization as the Valkaries have? And even the players who they bring in seemingly have been there for months. And, they've done a great job. I'm gonna put this out there because I know everybody feels this way. Great to see you back, Vicky. Absolutely. I can't wait for the NFL to start. One of the cool things about the NFL that I love, and this is and there are other competitive leagues. I think the NBA is pretty competitive. I think the WNBA is competitive, but there is no league, no organization that is as competitive as the NFL. Every team can win. I mean, when you win 10 games in the NFL, you've done something special because it's a sea of brutality every game. Think about this. They talk about Achilles tears in the NBA. Every preseason game, damn near, somebody is done for the season. Literally, a missed field goal, a drop pass, a fumble decides the outcome of most games. That's why we love it. That's why we're riveted by it. And I mean, they dropped the preseason game. That was smart. Why not move the games up? You know, we got to wait until September. Was it 2 weeks? You got 3 weeks. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Andrew the GOAT says the Minnesota Lynx can say thank you to the referees for helping them win that game on Saturday. I didn't see the ending of it. You're talking about against the Liberty, right? Yeah, I didn't see that. Key says, your thoughts on Bears, the new coach, and Caleb. It looked good in preseason. Yeah, man. I mean, Ben Johnson's going to make a big difference because play calling is a factor in professional football. And the other thing about Ben Johnson that I love is that when you come from the outside and you've already been kind of cemented, you're not trying to build allegiances with your best player. You come in ready to coach your best player. And it's different, you know, and I think you probably understand this. It's like, you know, you're the leading scorer on a particular team. All of a sudden you got a new coach and it's Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino is not going to try to curry favors with you. He's going to keep it all inside and say, you know what, I can't win without this guy. But the mentality is, my job is to help you get better. Caleb Williams is a phenomenal talent. We've seen that for years. But the mistakes and the mishaps that cost games, that has to stop. And I think that's where Ben Johnson's going to come in, and he's going to shore things up and put this young man in a position to have success because he has the talent. We saw it going back to USC. USC would have been a lot more successful if it wasn't for some of the, you know, the mishaps from Caleb Williams. So they play in a tough division, but they're going to be exciting and they're going to be better. I think somewhere between 8 and 10 games. That's what I think. I think they'll win 8. Well, 8 will be a losing record. So I'm going to go, they'll have a winning record and they'll win between 9 and 10 games this year. If they win over 10 games, then again, they've exceeded expectations. But you got Green Bay, you got Minnesota, you got Detroit. Tough. But I love it though. And I mean, when you look at what Ben Johnson did for golf, gave him the landscape to become a great player, I think he's going to probably do that for Caleb Williams. Otherwise, it's going to be all bad for Caleb. Andrew the GOAT says, I need the Warriors front office to make some moves and sign some free agents. Well, there's a little thing called a salary cap, Andrew, that prohibits them from doing stuff like that. They got deals in place. I would be shocked if Al Horford plays basketball this year and is not for the Warriors, and DeAnthony Melton is out there. So I like what they're trying to do, but this Kuminga issue is the black cloud over this organization. You know, and I guess they can't do anything until they get that Kuminga thing figured out. If I'm Jonathan Kuminga, I'm not taking the deal that they offered me. I'm not. 2 years, 45. Second year, not guaranteed or guaranteed. Because they're going to trade him. And he'll be locked into maybe possibly going somewhere that he don't want to go to. So, no. And I was thinking about this afternoon, getting pissed off because they really didn't want to do business with Sack. If you're the Golden State Warriors and you say the only holdup is an unprotected first-round pick in 32, come on. And if you're Sacramento, you're not giving them that. They're just basically playing with you. Who knows what position Sacramento's going to be in 32 or 30, whenever it was. They offered Malik Monk and a first-round pick, and the Warriors were like, well, we want to unprotect it first, please. They don't want Malik Monk. They don't want him. And Sack is not giving up Keegan Murray. So there's no deal. This conversation around this is just, it's not a very intelligent conversation. The Warriors know if they were willing to take Malik Monk, you think Malik Monk is the type of guy who's going to sit quietly after he gets a DNP and he sees Brandon Podzinski out there playing 37 minutes and he's sitting on the bench? No, he's not that guy. And he got 50, 60 million coming to him. Oh, he would be a problem. So the Warriors don't want any part of that. I don't blame him. Vicky says, I also think it's because it's only 17 weeks that people gravitate to the NFL. Baseball and basketball are too long. A lot of people say that. They've had an 82-game schedule in the NBA for a long time. And I kind of like the schedule. But I understand where you're coming from. The Warriors are already at the 2nd April. Yeah, but I think what happens if they sign out, I'm not an expert. I've looked at ChatGPT and it has explained some things to me, but I think if and when they sign Kuminga, that gives them the opportunity to use the mid-level, the mid-level exception deal. And I think that allows them to bring in some players because they have some salary spots open. But I'm not a salary cap expert, but I do know, or I believe, if they sign Kuminga, then that will open up an opportunity for them to sign 2 veteran players. All right. You listen for the first time. My name is Frank Red. How you doing? This is In the Dungeon Show. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the program. I want to thank all of my wonderful listeners out there and people who contribute to the program. It would not be the same without you, and I really do appreciate it. We started the show off talking about the 49ers and the Raiders. We could talk about any NFL team if you want to. I'm so happy that Trey Lance is continuing to play well. Because one of the things about social media and podcasts, and I'm glad everybody has access to their own platform, but a lot of times they talk and they bury people. I mean, literally, when Trey Lance left the Bay Area, that dude had like smoke coming out of his body. People were burning him up so much. He was a bum and he couldn't play and he can't master the offense, and all this crap. And I was like, wait a minute. He's never had an opportunity to play. And he goes to Dallas. And this is how out of touch Jerry Jones is. Jerry Jones gives the 49ers, I believe, a 3rd round pick for Trey Lance, which raised some eyebrows to a lot of people who didn't think he could play. He went and he sat behind Dak for a year or two and learned And then the Cowboys didn't re-sign him. They go out and trade for the kid Milton, who was erratic when he was in college. At Tennessee, he was erratic. He's always been erratic. And he appears to be the likely number 2 quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. He's not a number 2. And why did Dallas decide not to re-sign Trey Lance? Because they didn't want to pay him. They did not want to pay him. And Jim Harbaugh, the brilliant developer of quarterbacks that he is, snatched him up right away. Snatched him up. And alleviated any pressure on him. And just really got him in the classroom. Simplified what the expectations were. And all of a sudden, this guy is developing into a legitimate professional quarterback. That's why, I live and die with some coaches. I live and die with some coaches and some organizations. You can't really tell me too many horrible things about the Pittsburgh Steelers. When I learned about football as a kid, Pittsburgh was good. When I'm a little kid, I didn't know anything about football. But you knew the Steelers. Organizationally, they know how to do things. The Dallas Cowboys at one point did. Right now, the only thing the Cowboys know how to do still is they can evaluate talent. They evaluate players, they draft them, and then they tear them down and ultimately tell them that they're not worth what they actually are. Weird, isn't that weird? Very weird to me. Key says the Warriors have been getting old, and unfortunately, Kerr doesn't develop young players. Fire his ass already then. Keys, I would suggest that you go online and try to look at that interview with him and Shane Battier, because he tried to kind of send out an olive branch in the most Steve Kerr-esque way that he can, because he's in a pickle. Think about the lack of quotes that you've heard from Steve Kerr this summer. He's been a ghost. He has been an actual ghost. You haven't heard anything from Steve Kerr over the past 3 months. You don't hear anything from Mike Dunleavy Jr. I give Lacob a lot of credit and a lot of resolve. He's not one of these meddling owners, but this dude is competitive. You think he's happy right now? He's not happy. I don't think he is. Happy with the Valkaries, but right now, as the Warriors start to get ready for the season, I don't think he's happy. Mark Gravy Graves. Jerry Jones is looking to get 2 firsts for Parsons. You know what? If it was that, Mark, teams would be lining up like they're getting ready for a Rolling Stones concert, or they're ready to see Nas or somebody, or Mary J. Blige. If all it took was 2 first-round picks to get Micah, I think Dallas, in spite of Jerry Jones being the owner, there has to be some type of fail-safe button within that organization to not allow him to do that. I mean, 2 first-round picks, I'd do that in a second. If I was a team who had stability at the quarterback position, you know what? Maybe Dallas can trade him for Trey Henderson, Erickson, the guy from Cincinnati. But I don't think 2 first-round picks for Parsons is enough. Pass rushers are so hard to develop. This guy's special. So I don't think they're going to trade him, because they don't have to trade him. They don't have to. They can let this thing bleed out, poison the team. He'll come back at some point. They can use the franchise. They can use the franchise tag the next couple of years. It just hurts your team. That's what it does. It hurts your team. Keys, Kerr has 4 championships, yeah. Vic, you know what's interesting though? You're right, and everybody knows it. But think about how lucky the Warriors are. The first championship, to me, was incredible. That was miraculous. It came out of nowhere. The team was together. Give them credit. That was awesome. But championships 2 and 3. Think about that for a second. How many teams in the NBA could you put Kevin Durant on and then win 2 championships in a row? Think about that. You know how lucky and how fortunate the Warriors were? They would have won 3 in a row if Kevin Durant had not gotten hurt. So while I think, yeah, it was beautiful basketball, they played great, and you still have to coach the team, I'm not as impressed with championship 2 and 3, although I respect it, because I know there are other coaches who could have done that. Also, I have not watched the last 5 minutes of Game 6 in OKC. My only memory of that game is what I saw when I watched the game like everybody else. I don't want to watch it right now. I'll probably watch it 5-10 years down the road, but I'm not going to watch it right now because I don't want to be biased. I don't want to be biased. I just want to trust my eyes. OKC lost that game. The coach is ultimately responsible for the losses and the wins. But that was one of the worst displays of basketball by 2 future Hall of Famers that I've ever seen before. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were horrible the last 5 minutes of that game. Horrible. God awful. Horrible. They're up 8-10 points with like 4 minutes, 5 minutes to go and lost. Turnovers, missed layups, missed mid-range. I mean, come on, man. And then, as he rightfully could, Kevin Durant goes and plays for the team that beat him. He goes, well, he was the best player on the team. Yeah, he was, and he's great. And I don't take anything away from him. But I would say go play for the Warriors after you beat the Warriors. That never happened. The 49ers used to. You said the Warriors had no business winning 4. Well, I don't know if I said, I don't think I said that. I said among the 4 championships, I don't respect 2 and 3 as much as I do as 1 and 4. That's what I said. I think the one that they won in 22 was, in some ways, that was my favorite championship because a lot of things had to fall into place, and they did for the Warriors. But that was Stephen Curry's coming out party. All of the, well, he can't do this in the playoffs talk ended. Because Stephen Curry, with the help of his teammates, took down the Boston Celtics, who were more talented. If you look at those 2 rosters, I think Boston was more talented. I think Stephen Curry was the difference. And that's when the top 10 talk of all time really started to get some teeth, when he won that 4th championship, because he was extraordinary in that series. If I remember correctly, the Warriors were actually down 2-1, and they won that series. And Steve Kerr coached his ass off. He did. He was brilliant. Jordan Poole played well. A lot of guys played well. So, but championship 2 and 3, when you got Kevin Durant on your team, along with Steph, along with Clay, along with Draymond, you got 4 Hall of Famers. Let's look at the Bulls teams. The Bulls had Jordan, Scotty, and Rodman. There's no other Hall of Famers on that team. They had 3. The Warriors had 4 Hall of Famers on that team. 4. And Sean Livingston and Iguodala. I mean, gosh, I think that there's a real chance that Iguodala might be in the Hall of Fame one day. I believe that. He might get in. Key says the Warriors dynasty has been over. It's time to reset, and we will be the Wizards. Ouch. Mark Graves says Wiggins was out of his mind versus Boston. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was. Yes, he was. And in a different series, then maybe he would have won the MVP. Wiggins and Stephen went crazy. You're absolutely right. How soon we forget? It's interesting because that was the highest of the high for Andrew Wiggins, right? And it was pretty recent. But because he's been kind of mid since then, we forget some of that stuff. At least I do. That's on me. But yeah, Wiggins was outstanding. Outside of getting Kevin Durant, that was Bob Myers' probably greatest free agent move or trade. It was a trade. It wasn't free agency. It was trade. So, yeah, that was awesome. It really was. If I ask you to give me something that's happening now in the NFL or something that you expect. Well, I got a question because I don't know this. With ESPN buying the NFL Network, how does that affect like Red Zone and stuff like that? I mean, does it affect any of the apps that we have right now, or is that going to happen next year? Will there be all these changes? I'm a little concerned because I have the end zone package where they just go around, they flip around to various games. But I don't have everything, but I have that. And I don't want that to change for me, at least not this year, because things are happening so fast. I don't want to miss anything. So if you have any information about that, about how ESPN's purchase of the NFL Network is going to affect how we enjoy football, let me know, because I don't know about it. I'm also kind of thinking about a lot of the jobs at the NFL Network. Will those folks lose their jobs? Will you start to see ESPN personnel go over there? How's it all going to work out? I don't know. I mean, I have some trepidation about the NBA moving to NBC because I've had challenges logging on to Peacock. I'm sure some of you guys have Peacock. If you don't have it now, I'm sure many of you will get it because TNT is going to be no more, and NBA is moving there. So I have to find out how to use that app. I have it in my cable package, but I haven't signed on to it yet. So, is it user friendly? Do you have it? Do you plan on getting it? Now let me know how you feel about that. All right. The movie, highest to the lowest. I don't really like to rank Spike Lee's movies because most of them are all good. They're all great movies. I don't know how you can rank a movie. I don't know how to do that. What I'm going to tell you is Denzel Washington. What Denzel and I have in common is we both went to Fordham, right? Denzel Washington is probably the most famous Fordham graduate of our era. and he played basketball. Denzel played on the JV team at Fordham that was coached, check this out, by PJ Carlissimo. Fun fact, I think PJ's dad at that time might have been the athletic director. I don't know. PJ was a young guy. Denzel's not that much. DJ and PJ Carlissimo and Denzel are probably in the same neighborhood in terms of how old they are. But PJ, I think, got into coaching at a very young age. He coached Denzel on the JV team. I feel good knowing that, because knowing they went to Fordham Theater and all that good stuff. What am I leading up to? Denzel Washington, even at this stage of his life, owns the screen in ways that no one else does in the industry. I mean, when you think about who are the major stars in Hollywood, even at this point, who have the landscape of different roles that Denzel Washington has played. Regardless of what the role is, Denzel just owns it. He owns it. And he played a record company owner in this new movie called Highest to Lowest. And everything is shot beautifully in New York. So it has a real New York vibe to it. But he plays, I think, David Craig. And he's a record label mogul. And he's had a lot of success. And all of a sudden, the industry at this point doesn't give him the juice that it used to when he was a lot younger. And, you know, he's looking for an exit plan. And I mean, literally one of the most beautiful penthouses I've ever seen on television, overlooking the New York skyline. It is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful wife, great kids, great friends, so on and so forth. And the movie centers around a hiccup in the road, in his plan. One of his really loyal friends' son goes missing. And, you know, there's a ransom that needs to be paid, and madness ensues. I'm not going to go past that. That's all you need to know. He's a record label executive owner. He has a decision to make around a ransom. And after that, the movie just takes off. You know who's in this movie? Who's the guy who does the insurance? The white guy who what's that? Is that Geico, or I'm not quite sure which one that is. His name is, I wrote his name down. His name is Dean Winters is his name. And, you know, he's the guy who causes mishaps at various events. Things go wrong for the insurance. I don't remember what product that was. But he's in it. And I actually forgot that the guy was an actor. You know, he's a very good actor. He really is. So if you like Spike Lee, you like Denzel, you like suspense, you want to see a movie that is beautifully shot in New York, I think the score is definitely Oscar worthy. Check this movie out. The only other movie that I think that I've seen this year that rivals that is Sinners. I'm not going to say it's better than Sinners. I'm going to say it's a matter of preference. Two really, really good movies. And that's all I'll say about it. Yeah, there you go. Bebop Jones. Vince Lombardi went to Fordham too. Yes, he did. And guess what? Our recreation center is called the Lombardi Center. That's what it's called. Vicky says, I have Peacock. It's okay. It's user friendly. Thank you. I had problems kind of like putting like the passwords in, Vicky. So I need to work on that. Keys, it's too... okay, he probably saw it. I'm not going to read your message. Yes, Mark. Is that Allstate? Yeah, Mayhem. Yes, that's it. That's it. And I'm not going to tell you his role in the movie, but does a really good job. Really good job. And it was kind of random, which Spike Lee tends to be with people who are in his movies. Remember, and I dig that. I dig it. Yeah, but he's in the movie. So that was pretty good. Highest to lowest. It's not playing in a lot of theaters. I got a chance to see it this weekend. I highly suggest that you check it out. Who is your favorite Valkaries player, if you have one? Who's your favorite player? I have a favorite player on that team. Veronica Burton. She plays like Chauncey Billups to me. Just like, there's some rough edges, but 100% all out, never give up. Love watching her play basketball. We have, another thing I wanted to get into. Statues. Have you guys seen Sue Bird's statue? The first woman to have a statue in front of a basketball arena, I guess. Her statue accentuates all of the positive things that she brings to the table. Beautiful. I mean, how, her thigh muscles, her calves, her smile, everybody's talking about her ponytail, her face. It looks like her. That's how you do a statue. That's how you do a statue. I'm so happy for her. Hopefully we're going to see more women acknowledged for their greatness, like the men. But I think Seattle did that right. They certainly did. And it's okay to say that, some of these statues are not good. Jordan's statue is really good. Dwayne Wade's statue? That's not Dwayne Wade. Who is that? And Dwayne Wade, God bless him, he had to go around the nation and get on television and try to convince people, none of us believed it, how good it was. They need to tear that thing. They need to put that thing in a closet somewhere. That does not look like, Dwayne Wade's a handsome dude. That statue looks horrible. Horrible. They got Sue Bird right. Asia Wilson, I haven't seen that statue. But yeah, saw that this weekend. Saw her presser when she was talking. And that's a good look. That's why Seattle deserves a team. I can't wait till they get a team because they do things the right way. That was great. Some people say Kate Martin's one of their favorite players. Caitlin Chen. Yeah. I hope that I'm a little concerned about Caitlin Chen. Great teammate, really good player, but I think she's not playing a lot right now because they go after her on defense. And I'm just wondering whether or not she can play at this level over a long period of time. I don't know what she's not that big. She's not that fast. She's fundamentally sound, but I think where she really comes up short, no pun intended, is defensively teams go at her. They go at her. I would suggest that she gets stronger. I think if she got stronger, she could defend her position better, because that's a problem area for her, because she's not a real aggressive offensive player. And you either have to be a very aggressive offensive player or you got to be a hellified defender. And Coach Nakase is not putting her on the court because they go after her defensively. They do. And it's kind of sad. It's why Veronica Burton plays damn near every minute, because defensively, she's a juggernaut. You know, she's going to make some money. Carla Lake, she can defend her position, but she's a little more aggressive offensively, which helps her. I like her. But she needs to become more consistent also. But when I look at Caitlin Chen, and I watched her pretty intensely at UConn last year, she's great. And I think she's good for the game. But people that say that ethnicity doesn't matter, I say that's bull. It does matter. It does matter. You think people who look like her don't get excited to see her on the court? Of course they do. But it starts and ends with her talent and her ability to perform at that highest level. So she needs to make some adjustments. Otherwise, she might not be in the W next year. Hopefully she can sustain it. Frantic Rage says, are you going to watch Nobody 2? Do you like the first one? I love the first one. I did. And had it not been for highest to the lowest, I would have watched Nobody 2 this weekend. Did you like it? One of the things that kind of bothered me about it, I haven't seen it, Frantic, it's only 90 minutes. Did you realize that? The movie is only 90 minutes. That's crazy. Was it a riveting 90 minutes? Let me know. Because the first one was awesome. It really was. Yeah. I think we're good, y'all. 49ers. I thought they were solid this weekend against the Raiders. I thought the Raiders, under Pete Carroll's leadership, have, I think, improved the Raider fans out there because they look like a professional football team. Over the past 3, 4, 5 years, since they moved on, I don't think you can make that statement. But Pete Carroll's no joke. Pete Carroll's 73. Are you kidding me right now? I think Gino's going to be slinging that thing. I think Aston Genty is going to be a star, maybe Rookie of the Year. I don't think the 49ers offensive line, in spite of Prince's 3 false starts, is as bad as people think it is. I don't think it is. I saw some things this weekend that I thought were promising. There was a clean pocket for Brock Purdy. There was a clean pocket for Mac Jones as well, and even Bradley. So I want them to get Jawan Jennings signed. Hopefully tomorrow we'll hear something about Kiner and how long he's going to be out. He has a high ankle sprain. But they're going to put this receiving core together with parts. You know, there isn't anything great about them collectively. As long as they catch the ball, and they got Kittle, they're developing a second tight end. I think that offensively they'll be good enough to the point where they'll be scoring somewhere between 25 and 30. I don't think they'll be scoring over 30 a whole lot. I don't think so. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't think they will. I think the 49ers this year are going to make a lot of plays on defense because they'll be flying around. And defensively, I think they're going to keep the offense in some games. That's what I think. TG says, Frank, love your movie takes. Wife and I go to happy hour and a movie every Friday night. I go to the movies every Friday night. Awesome. What'd you see this past Friday? Frantic Rage says, felt a little short, but there were quite a few cool parts. Like the first one. Yeah, I mean, I just think that Homeboy was kicking a lot of ass, man. That dude was awesome. And it seems like such an unmatched environment for him to be able to do what he does. Yeah, I'm definitely watching number 2. No doubt about that. All right, everybody. Hopefully you hit the like button. You subscribe to the show if you have not done so already. I want to thank everybody for participating tonight. We're at 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's amazing how fast the show goes. But we're starting the week. I know everybody has stuff to do. I want to wish everyone a wonderful start to your week. Be safe. TG, help me out here though before I sign off. He says, I think the movie was called Weapons this week, Frank. Okay. I want to see that movie. My movie buddy says that, she doesn't want to see it. So I'm going to probably go see it by myself. She thinks it's a horror film. Is it a horror film? What type of movie is it? I know people seemingly love it. And I want to see Weapons. What type of movie is it? Suspense? What is it? Help me out. All right. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, it is a horror film. All right. In my success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. In my opinion, if you don't do things to help other people make their lives better, in my opinion, you haven't done nothing. All right. I'm Frank Red. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thanks to the great Vicky. I appreciate you so much. Everybody else out there, check me out, subscribe, and get the notification. And I'll see you when I see you. Peace. Good night, everybody.